Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Book Trek 2025. This is an event created by Vin at Revenant Reads to celebrate Star Trek fiction all summer long. Have a blast reading and rereading Star Trek all summer long. But reading Star Trek fiction is not the only thing you can do for Book Trek. There are 2 away missions, if you want. You can read a piece of nonfiction written about Star Trek, or ghostwritten for one of the people that starred in Star Trek, or something like that. Plenty of books like that now. I remember when there were only 2. Now there's plenty of them. Or you can read a science book, something connected with science. Until the Kurtzman era of Star Trek at least made a bowing acquaintance with actual science and cared about it and largely wanted to observe at least some of its limits. I cannot change the laws of physics. I've got to have 30 minutes. You can read a science book during the summer, and that will count as an away mission. And I mentioned at the beginning of Book Trek 2025, as I mentioned at the beginning of every Book Trek, that I fulfill that away mission without trying. Because my main reading remit, the parameter for my actual reading, and the main part of my life, is new releases in the American book market in all of the subjects that interest me. And one of those is definitely science and nature. And there are always new releases in every month in those categories. I have been resisting the urge in the summer of 2025 to go down a rabbit hole about the Riemann hypothesis. I have resisted the urge. It is so completely alien to me that it is fascinating. There is not, in the simplest explanation that is given to me in the simplest video breakdown of the Riemann hypothesis, there is not one single phrase in one sentence that I understand. The individual words, yes, but not one meaningful phrase or term anywhere, from start to finish. It's not like I start to learn them as the video goes on. I am as in the dark at the end as I am at the beginning. And there's something oddly hypnotic about that. But I'm resisting the urge to go down that rabbit hole. I don't have any books on the Riemann hypothesis, although the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston just got a gigantic shipment of math books. And I am told, confidently, by one who would know, that there are a huge number of books in there on the Riemann hypothesis. I will not be reading any of them. No. Math is not one of the subjects that interests me. But I did, just recently enough to qualify for Book Trek 2025, I paged through a book that very much did interest me. In fact, more than I thought it would. This is the Princeton University Press has these big hardcover nature books. We've seen a bunch of them on this channel. They are wonderful. They're oversized. They're meant really to be splayed on your knee with a kid next to you in the big chair or on the couch, or splayed on the floor so everybody can look at it. They're meant to be toured through that way. They're amazing productions. And they have a new one. There's a new one here by Klaas Douwe Dijkstra called Dragonflies and Demoiselles of the World. They all look like this. They have a black square in the middle and then a white border with the animals in question. And it's amazing how much detail they go into. I had never really given dragonflies or their lesser cousins, demoiselles, I had really not given them any consideration at all. Never read a book about them. I've encountered them in the wild many, many times, but never thought anything of it. So they aren't an insect that you need to worry about. At least now they aren't. So I didn't worry about them. I never really paid them any serious attention until I paged through this book, where I learned their incredible variety. I learned a lot of their evolution. This book reminded me that once upon a time, a distant cousin of the dragonfly grew to 3 feet wide in wingspan, which would be pretty horrifying. I don't know if those things ate meat or bit meat out of bigger animals. I have no idea how dangerous they would be to me if I went back millions of years into the past. This book not only taught me that, it taught me all about the infinite variation of these things in the world today. There are thousands of species, or hundreds of species, of dragonflies and demoiselles in the world today, with lots and lots of variety, some telltale similarities, but I was struck by the science fiction nature of these beings. The book was not being that way. The book is not meant for, the dumb clickbait audience thing. This is respects your intelligence. It expects that you are seriously curious. So it doesn't do any of that sort of crap. But I couldn't help but see it anyway through a science fiction lens of how terrifying these things are. Dragonflies are carnivores. They eat meat. But the thing is, they only live for a few days, a few weeks. They burst out of their chrysalis period hungry to kill. They seem to know right away how to do it, and they do it mercilessly, nonstop. We don't think that dragonflies sleep. They do it nonstop until they die just a few weeks later, at the most. If that is the science fiction story waiting to be written, I don't know what is. What if a man-sized dragonfly-like species not only was killing from the minute that it was born, but achieved kind of sentience after a week? So it needed enough caloric intake to achieve neurons constantly multiplying until suddenly it can think. Still only has a few days to live. What if that dragonfly science fiction species spawned a Leonardo da Vinci? What if for just a few hours he wanted something else, something more? Dragonflies, I gather from this book, effectively have no brain. They have a neural cluster that's slightly bigger than the neurons everywhere else in their bodies, but they can make only the most rudimentary of decisions, as far as I could tell. The book really wasn't much in here on comparative intellect. But has there ever been a dragonfly that wanted anything other than just to mercilessly kill 24 hours a day until it dies? What a thing to do! What an amazing existence for an animal! It pops into existence, kills the whole time that it's here, and is gone in just an eye blink. Just gone in a couple of days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks. Killing the whole time. And then all of a sudden it's either killed or it dies. I often wondered, do dragonflies play with each other? Do they have any kind of idle time, or are they just these mindless killing engines for 2 weeks? This book is silent on the subject. I imagine there's no way to know. But I couldn't help but think about it. That's all. I've watched some dragonflies, and they do sometimes sit still. Not usually, but sometimes. Anyway, this was my away mission for Book Trek. It was to read all about dragonflies and damselflies, and it was great. I love these books. I love their visual element. It's just so incredible. There's a whole shelf of them now that you can get on any kind of animal that you want, with plenty more to come. So wonderful. That I needed this as a sort of refresher. I have been concentrating on Star Trek Voyager, and that has distinctly had its ups and downs. So maybe for the last 3 weeks of Book Trek, I won't concentrate on Voyager. Maybe I'll just range all over Star Trek. But this helped me to even the keel. So there you go. That is my Book Trek entry for today. It's a new book, and it's all about dragonflies, which you wouldn't think would interest you, but by the time you finish flipping through this thing, you will be interested. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.